Well, are you ready, Detective?
To take a vacation from the wasteland? Absolutely.
Okay, then.
Within only a few seconds of her typing into the control panel, an alarm screeched as loud as the dickens. A warning that the enormous vault door would now be opening. It was intriguing yet blood-curdling. But one thing was for sure. This detective wanted to see what was inside.
Now, when you enter, Vault Security will probably have to pat you down, but no need to worry. They're real easygoing.
Put your hands up!
You better not miss, fellas.
Put that gun down before we make you.
Or get filled with lead, mate. Trust me, fellas. I may not look like much, but I'm known for my trigger finger. And you boys look like small fry compared to the things that I've killed.
No, nobody's killing anyone.
Bunny? Is that you?
You thought you were dead out there.
Bunny, who are these two knuckle-draggers?
Officers Jensen and O'Neill, two of the Overseer's favorite guards, and just about as straight as a dog's hind leg, if you ask me.
Real funny, Bunny. But you ain't getting back in here without explaining who this Joker is.
Who are you calling a joker?
Look,
What I wouldn't
this
give
is
for
Walter,
a good stiff drink.
Detective Walter. He's the one Overseer Mackenzie sent me out to find.
Wasteland folk, huh? Sure doesn't look like it.
Looks like a high society bloke from one of them pre-war movies.
And you say this is a detective?
Yes, they actually have investigators and law enforcement out there. Society in the outside world was depicted completely inaccurately in here.
What, are you saying all those years of study were wrong?
Well, yes, but...
All right, ladies, stop your catfight. No, I didn't come... all the way down here to bicker about egghead business. I want to know what's going on here.
I'm surprised it speaks in complete sentences.
Watch it, Buster.
Oh, please let him in, won't you? He's probably our only hope at saving us all.
I'll buy this shtick for now, Bunny. But that's only because I don't want you to feel like you wasted your time out there. Trust me, once the Overseer gets a hard enough look at him, he'll send him back to the cesspool from which he came.
Oh, thank you, Officer Jensen. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to ask you to slowly toss that tidbit of artillery you're holding there, fella.
Sure. It wasn't even loaded to start with.
All right, you two. Stick behind me at all times, especially you outsiders. I don't want you saying a word to the residents without the official say-so from Overseer Mackenzie. Just having you enter the actual vault like this could risk our jobs.
All right, Mr. Detective. Walk behind Jensen, and I'll walk behind you. Bunny, do your best to divert vault attention away from our little guest here. Last thing we need is more confusion.
Understood. Come on, Walter. Overseer Mackenzie should fill you in with the details when we reach his office.
I'm taking your word for it, Bunny. But my questions better be answered by the time I get there.
Don't worry. Mackenzie's a stuck-up guy, but he's reasonable. Unlike these two.
Let's just get moving before every wasteland detective marches his way in here.
It sure was interesting as it was frightening. We made our way through the vault door as those two boys in blue kept a close eye on me. The room where the standoff took place was pretty large, but a much smaller automatic door was waiting for us just behind it. It led to a long, dark passage with yet another door awaiting. But then, I was met with the most beautiful sight I have ever seen. A beautiful, clean, functioning society. I couldn't believe my eyes. Happy families. Men, women, children, and pets. All coexisting as one. Shops and homes at every corner. Now I see why Bunny was so uneducated about the wasteland. All these people, unaware about the world outside. I wish I could be in their shoes. They all wore the exact same jumpsuit Bunny wore, all with that big 54 on their backs. This place is pretty far from any incorporated settlements, so whatever their problem is, it has nothing to do with invaders. Do all of your people get told to point and stare? It's rude, you know.
Oh, they're just excited a VIP is being escorted through the vault. Don't mind them.
Shut your mouth, Walter. Just stay quiet until the Overseer has a say about you.
Your lungs are coated with that wasteland grime too. It is best you not exhale and contaminate this clean air.
Have I ever told you how nice I think you two boys are?
Shut your face, wise guy.
Nice
The
night.
elevator, right here.
Means things with sharper eyes than us will be on the hunt.
Alright, we're here. Mackenzie's a stiff old guy, so 2 rules. Look him in the eye when he's talking to you. Only speak to him when spoken to. And don't say nothing stupid.
That's 3 rules, genius.
Shut it.
Please, Mr. Overseer, don't let those men hurt him. He's done nothing wrong so far. At least give him a chance.
Get back here, girlie.
Now, just what in the name of all things holy is going on here? Who is this man? Why are you barging into my office without any prior appointment?
I'm sorry this is all short notice, but you gotta understand the situation, see?
Just let us explain, sir.
No, they'll give him a bad name.
We said shut it, you harlot.
Nobody tells me what's going on in the next 3 seconds. I'll be forced to contact security that knows how to properly handle protocol and not burst into the Overseer's office without being called.
The thing is, sir,
So you're their leader, huh? Sure don't look like much, to be honest.
did you not hear what I said?
And just who might you be? You don't seem like someone from around here.
Because I'm not. You got a smoke?
Sure, I've got some saved for a rainy day.
Imported Cuban. I've only seen those on the old pre-war billboards. Never actually had one before.
Oh, well, you must try one. They're simply amazing.
Different, but good. I like them.
Here, take 3 more. I hardly remember I have them half the time.
Thanks. So I'm told your people have a problem.
Yes, but again, who are you?
Camry. Detective Walter Camry of Camry Investigations, Carbon, Texas.
Oh, you must be the Outlander we've been waiting so long for.
Well, I couldn't have made it here without that girl the Australian has in a headlock.
Officer O'Neill, you unhand that girl at once.
But boss,
Now, O'Neill.
Overseer Mackenzie, she hit me.
I never told you to bound and gag the girl like a kidnapping victim. She probably saved our lives with this man here. So whatever she did to you, you had coming.
Sir, with all due respect, we were just following orders.
Hmm?
The door opened, the guy put a gun on us.
Because you pointed guns at him.
Yes, but
Look, only a vault resident with special permission is given the password to the control panel. If you recognized Miss Bunny at first glance, you should have put yourselves at ease. What do you want to do, shoot her? Now get out, the both of you.
but boss,
Out! I'm terribly sorry for my men, Mr. Detective. They could be a little frantic, if you will.
Oh, it was no harm done. They're just doing their jobs. But I will say they're a little too free around you. Better for them to just follow orders instead of talking back.
Truer words have never been spoken, Mr. Camry, though they are some of the toughest men I have on the force. They just think since I appointed them as advisors, they can ease up around me. I'll have a chat with them soon enough.
Isn't it wonderful, Overseer Mackenzie? A true, honest, and hardworking detective from the outside. Oh, I knew there was hope after all.
Yes, I see that I was wrong, doubting you like that. I'm sure this place is awfully different than locations you've visited in your travels, Mr. Detective. Truthfully enough, we thought that life had been eradicated once the bombs had fell, those 200 years ago. Even if it did, I suspected it to be more barbaric than usual. Out of honesty, sir.
A common misconception, Mr. Overseer, is it?
Overseer Mackenzie. Mr. Mackenzie, if you will.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Mackenzie. I can assume you run this fine establishment you like to call Vault 54?
The pleasure's mine. This may be a late introduction, but yes, welcome to Vault 54. And yes, I do, in fact, run it.
I must admit, sir, this is beyond incredible. Never would I have thought of a community this secluded from the wasteland.
Yes, the wasteland. Tell me about it, will you?
Oh, it's just as you would imagine it. Little food, barely enough water, raiders, mutants, the list goes on and on. In short, it's a constant struggle for survival each day that rolls on by.
That's awful. Very sorry about how things turned out for humanity.
Yeah, it would have done us better if those bombs had just killed us all those years ago. It's not worth the squabble we're dealing with now. And this place, this is something of a dream to folks out there. It's quite the slice of heaven.
We do our best, Mr. Camry. Vault 54 has been up and running for ages. There's been no major incident or fault so far. That is, so now...
Well, that reminds me. Bunny tells me the whole reason of coming here is due to something dire happening to your people. I'm beyond sure you folks didn't want some wasteland VIP to get a tour of your clean House of Chrome.
Ah, that. My plate's been so full, I've nearly forgotten about the issue at hand.
Tell him, Overseer. Tell him what's happening.
Please, Miss Bunny, control yourself. Sorry, Detective. She's been on this case since last month. It's gotten her quite on edge.
Case? What are you talking about?
She didn't tell you? You aren't the only investigator in this room.
So that's why you know your stuff so well. And why you're such a deadeye with that 45 of yours.
Sorry, Walter. I just had to make sure you were legit. I was about to tell you, but to be completely honest with you both, I felt like a free spirit out there in the wasteland. Like a normal girl. None of this darned undercover business weighing down my shoulders. Like the world was my oyster. And that's why, Mr. Overseer, why I think we should finally open the vault.
Goodness sakes, Bunny. Can it wait till tomorrow?
And what? Wait, exactly.
The reason I had the girl look for you, Mr. Camry, she's clearly forgotten what the meaning of patience is.
I'm sorry, Overseer.
Please, unwind for the night, Detective. That dreaded walk in the wasteland probably did a number on your legs. I'll need you at full strength first thing in the morning.
That's only if you insist, Mr. Overseer. But that walk was nothing compared to the travels I've been through. So if your vault needs emergency attention now, best let me know while there's still time.
That'll do, Detective. I have other pressing matters to attend to tonight. All will be unfolded to you tomorrow.
I'll be here bright and early then.
That's great to hear. Bunny will show you to your room. Good night, Mr. Camry.
Yes. Good night, Overseer Mackenzie. Well, he's a piece of work, ain't he?
If those two knucklehead guards were right about one thing, it's that he's a stiff old guy.
Doesn't seem to care for you all that much.
Yes. He's had it out for me ever since I busted him for adultery in front of his poor wife. The case was a little too petty for my taste, but it was the Overseer's spouse, so I really had no choice.
Really? Sure doesn't seem like one to go snooping around at his age.
He's an old sleaze. Tried using those lackeys of his, Jensen and O'Neill, to cover it up, but I was too smart for them. All Miss Mackenzie could do was file a divorce and be done with it. If she tried anything else, she'd be arrested because of his political standing. That man could destroy anyone he wanted to. Made me keep quiet about it, too, or it'd mean my job.
You're the best case man, aren't you? That's why he still uses you, right?
Bingo. Every time I think about ruining his oh-so-perfect reputation with the Vault citizens, I have to keep reminding myself who writes my checks.
The old keep your mouth shut and you get paid scenario. Can't go wrong there.
But I have a moral compass, Walter. I don't like keeping secrets from people. It just kills me on the inside each time I'm told to hide something or sugarcoat something.
It can be hard in this line of business, Bunny. Dirty politics have been around since the beginning of time, and they expect folks like us to carry out the deed.
Well, I can't take it anymore from Mackenzie. That's why never mind.
What is it?
It's what I was going to say earlier. But, like the man said, wait until morning. Darn it. We don't have time for all this waiting.
Well, whatever it is, it's definitely bothering you. I'll be sure not to be as chummy with him as I was today.
Thanks, Walter. Please, when he tells you what it is, think hard about it, will you?
You have my word, Private Investigator Bunny. After about a 5-minute walk down to the residential area of the 3rd floor, Bunny escorted me down a somewhat crowded hallway. Each side was filled with more metal doors leading to smaller houses. It was clear that I would be staying in one of these.
I apologize for the butt-to-guts space around here. Gets a little crazy after school lets out.
I'm just glad there's such a thing as school still. So is this where I'm gonna stay?
3rd room to the left.
Thanks, Bunny. A man couldn't ask for a better helper.
It was no trouble. I just hoped.
What was that?
I don't know. Let's go check it out.
Those were definitely gunshots. It was hard to make out the attacker through the panicked crowd. Whoever it was, snuck his head a little ways past the corner of the hallway, his smoking gun pointing directly at us. Bunny, look out!
Eat lead, you monster.
I think you got him.
I'll chase him down. You make sure everyone's all right.
Roger.
Come out of your hole, you little rat.
When the crowd split the scene, I assumed everyone was okay as I surveyed the area. But I was wrong. When the chaos cleared, I saw a young man face down on the cold metal floor. And on his blue vault jumpsuit were 3 large bullet holes. You there, young man. Speak to me, will ya? That's it. Say something. Who did this?
I don't know.
Do you have any idea why?
Eventually, I break through to a rather large room. After removing cobwebs from my path, I find that inside the room was a golden Freddy Fazbear suit. It had a steady trickle of rat blood escaping from its mouth, and it looked like the endoskeleton inside of it had completely collapsed in on itself. The sight made me jump. Why is an animatronic down here? I had never seen this suit, ever. Its design was completely identical to the original Freddy suit, except that the color scheme was gold instead of brown. The suit also looked much older than all the others by quite a few years. The endoskeleton was bulky and gave me a World War II era vibe. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria opened shortly after the United States ended the war, and was a place where many returning veterans took their children to once they got back home. I took a few cautious steps toward the suit, wondering if it was still active. As I get closer, I feel a sharp pain in my head. It hurt to the point where I actually was forced to back away from it. As I back away, I trip, and the next thing I know, I'm lying in a pit of children's dead bodies. What the Oh my God! I shout as I get up, quickly scrambling to my feet. As I turned to look back at the pit, it was gone. I was hallucinating. I turned to look back at the suit, suddenly remembering something. Foxy told me about you. I remember you now. You're controlling these animatronics. You're the one making them want to kill. I yell at the broken suit. It stirs slightly, letting out an unsettling human-like moan. It attempts to get to its feet, but very easily collapses before it gets very far at all. That's why you control them, isn't it? Because you're so broken you can't do things yourself. I say as it slowly raises its head to look up at me, causing blood to pour out of its eyes. Then I see something completely unexpected inside of the suit. There was a body inside of the suit. A chill runs down my spine, and my breakfast comes up in the aftershock. I look at the suit one last time and run. I hear the familiar shriek of the animatronics, followed by a human shriek, and I can hear the suit successfully get up and begin walking towards me. The sound of bones breaking and blood falling is all I can hear. Luckily, I make it to the back room trapdoor before it catches me. Hopefully, it couldn't follow. Foxy looks around at the damage that was caused by Chica's and Tyler's fight and commends Tyler silently for being able to handle himself. He sees Chica come around the corner and she looks at him, eyes of pure black. Let old Foxy release ye from ye torment, aye? Foxy says as he flashes his hook. I think 'tis the time for one of the poor children's souls to have a rest. Foxy's eyes fade to black as well, and he lowers his eye patch as he gets ready to fight. Nothing you can do can stop us, pirate. You're a killer just like the rest of us. Accept who you are and join us, she yells. I may have had the instinct within me once, but not anymore. I'm nothing like ye and the rest of your murderous band, and I never will be. Foxy raises his hook. Now get ready to walk the plank. He yells as he dashes forward, slashing with his hook. Chica sidesteps it and punches him right in the stomach, throwing him back. You're too slow, cripple, she says smugly. Foxy angrily gets up. I'll send ye to Davy Jones' locker, he yells as he charges her again. I've had enough of ye, enough of all your friends, enough of this here damned hellhole we're stuck in, he says as he swings his hook around violently. I've had enough of being alone. He screeches out as his hook claws into her shoulder, ripping out the circuitry, making her left arm go limp. You're always making a fool of yourself, Foxy yells as he begins prying her arm off. And the kids love ye. But when they see old Foxy, all they see is what you did to me. He rips her arm off. Foxy, stop, Chica yells as she raises her right arm and hits him square in the left side of his jaw. Foxy can feel his face collapse slightly. His left eye breaks. I broke you once, and I'll break you again, Chica yells as she reaches for his throat, beginning to crush the circuitry inside. And this time, you'll stay broken, Chica yells as she tightens her grip. Foxy makes a gasping noise, feeling the lack of power to his head. He sticks his hook into a vulnerable spot in her right arm and twists. Her hand lets go and springs upward. Foxy falls forward, landing on his knees, his neck barely able to support the weight of his head and his broken jaw. What did you do to me? Chica yells as she has to struggle to get her arm back into place. Foxy looks up at her, holding his head in place. Oh, just a little trick me first mate taught me while he was repairing me. He lifts his hook to strike her down, and then thoughts filled his mind. She deserves more than just a quick death. Make her suffer. Let her see what it's like to be broken and thrown away forever. Foxy pauses. Get out of me head. You won't control me again. However, the thought had been planted, and in Foxy's rage, he hacks and slashes at Chica, tearing wires and fur to minuscule pieces uncontrollably as he tries to fight off the influence of the Golden One. With one slash of his hook, her head falls off, and the hydraulic fluid and oil that was inside sprays out and coats him. I'm not forgotten, Foxy yells. I'm not trash. I am somebody. He falls to his knees again. People will love me again. People will care. I will be loved again, he says quietly, repeating himself. He begins to get angry. And nothing will stop me. Nothing. Foxy hears a footstep in the corner of the room and quickly turns to see it. His head nearly falls off, but he catches it. It was Tyler. Tyler, you're okay? Foxy says, relieved, but sounding angry, his black eyes shining. What be the matter? Foxy says as he notices the fear in his face. He looks around himself and sees the various scattered pieces of Chica strewn about. Some of her wires even stuck in his broken jaw. He had bit some parts off of her. You look, I begin. I can't finish. He has stopped believing in you, the voice in his head begins again. Teach him what happens when people stop believing in you. No. Me first mate would never stop believing in Foxy. He yells as he gets up and runs up to and grabs me. "You wouldn't doubt me, would ye?" he says as he raises his eye patch and looks me directly in the eye. "Foxy, you're acting weird," I yell, trying to escape his grasp. "Let go of me. Of course I believe in you. Just calm down," I yell as I finally break free of his grasp. I then run up and hug him, and he hugs me back. He holds me tight, and I could feel that he was relieved. I grab his head and look him in the eye. "I would never, ever give up on you. We are friends, and I never leave a friend behind." Foxy's eyes change back to their usual orange, and somewhat of a smile forms on his slightly dislocated jaw. I could imagine that if he could, he would be crying right now. "I'd like to touch your reunion, but I have a job to do," a familiar voice says. Both of us turn toward the entrance of the establishment, and we both see the owner. "Master," Foxy says. "Yes, Foxy, I'm here," he says dully. "And it seems you have dismantled your sister, and that just won't do." He walks to the door leading to the back room and opens it, and the golden Freddy suit struggles out of it. "You're up too, eh?" he says calmly. The suit ignores him. "Wait, what the hell?" Tyler says. "You?" And the words faded away in the back of his throat. "Yes, I created them, brought them to life, true life," he says as he wipes off the golden suit's shoulder of dust. 5 souls entered these suits on my command, and 5 souls gave them the life they needed. But why? Why? He laughs. "Isn't it obvious? To kill people." He walks towards the stage. "And with Golden Freddy here as the ringleader, I'm never involved and I can kill as I please." The owner raises his hand, and Bonnie and Freddy wake up as well. Bonnie has been repaired. "Speaking of souls, I need more. I was hoping to get one from good old Mike Schmidt, but he was too smart for my poor killers in training. I had to fire him." He looks directly at me. "But you seem like the perfect candidate." And as he says that, a hook stabs me from behind through my stomach. I look behind myself and see another Foxy, brand new and with a completely different design. And then the room goes dim and falls in. Foxy is restrained by Freddy and Bonnie. He tries to claw at his replacement, but it's no use. He cannot reach. Tyler, speak to me. Speak to old Foxy. He can't be dead. You made me a promise. You promised I'd see outside again. Tyler." But his plea fell on deaf ears. Tyler was dead. New Foxy digs his hook out and drags him towards the owner. The owner then walks up to Foxy and turns him off. "All you had to do was stay in Pirate's Cove," he says. "All well." He turns to his animatronics. "Let's go. Leave the cripple here. We have a body." They follow him out of the establishment and into a moving truck, leaving Foxy to gather dust. Jessica, finally finding the strength to stand, leaves Pirate's Cove and sees the aftermath of the fight. She turns on Foxy.
Chilling tales for dark nights. I told you to smile. It was the 2nd of January, 2:04 a.m. I woke up to a knocking on the door. One knock every 3 seconds. I slipped on my slippers and walked down the stairs. As I walked down, the knocking on the door got faster, almost like a heartbeat. When I got to the door, the knocking stopped. I looked outside and nobody was there. I went back up to my room and went back to bed. I think it was just some kids playing a prank. 4:21 a.m. I woke up to the front door slamming shut. I jumped, terrified. I looked over at my frosted window to find "Smile" written all over it in the frost. I grabbed my phone next to me, ready to call 911, only to find a message written on it saying, "I told you to smile." I cried and ran for my life, running outside. As soon as I got outside, I knocked on my neighbor's house across the road. They answered me and hugged me while I sobbed. They phoned the police. Exactly 5:42. The police came to my neighbor's house. After an extensive search of my house, they told me that there had been no evidence at all of anyone in my house other than me. The messages on the window were gone, same as my phone. They told me to get some sleep and advised me to see a doctor about stress and anxiety problems. I knew what happened to me was real. The following evening, after spending the day at my neighbor's, I went home. I went back up to my bedroom and set up a camera. It was aimed at my bedroom door and my bed. I set it to record and went to sleep. Thankfully, I slept through the night. However, as I watched the footage, I couldn't believe what I saw. At 3 in the morning, something crawled out from under my bed. It was completely naked. Naked? Anorexic man. He stood up and looked at me in the bed. He did so for another hour, not moving at all. Then he moved. He walked over to the camera until his face took up the whole shot. He was extremely pale and had bulging veins all over his head. His eyes were completely black, with a huge smile across his face. He stared at the camera for another 2 hours, not blinking, just slightly twisting his head every now and again. After 2 hours of him staring went past, he walked back over to my bed and crawled back under. I skipped the video forward until it showed me getting up and walking over to the camera. The video finished. I was frozen with fear. The video showed him going back under, but not leaving. Whatever it was, the video finished. It was still there.
There was once a small village, home to several hundred men, women, and children. In many ways, the people of the village were like those of any other. They woke at dawn, cooked breakfast, and finished chores. They went to work, returned for dinner, and retired to bed. The inhabitants of the village were ordinary, similar to anyone else you've ever met, save one distinguishing feature. Every single person in the village was terrified, all of them of the same thing. And each night, because of it, every last one of them made certain they were in bed, their windows fastened, and their doors locked by 11 o'clock. The reason for their fear? A fieldstone bell tower erected in the center of the village so long ago that no one could recall its construction. Every night, at exactly the 11th hour, the bell inexplicably tolled 11 times, struck by unseen hands. It rang clearly, regardless of the season or the weather, and legend had it that tragedy befell anyone who remained outdoors while it tolled. For this reason, everyone in the village feared the tower. Everyone, that was, but Jacob Pearson. Jacob, haggard and eager to escape the noise and crime of a large nearby city, took up residence in the village with his young wife. Jacob was a stern and impertinent man, and within days of his arrival, he had grown intolerant of the village superstitions. Each night, Jacob scoffed at the villagers as they scrambled, like mice pursued by ravenous cats, to the safety of their homes. One night, Jacob decided that he would put an end to everyone's ridiculous beliefs. He bragged to his wife that he would climb the tower the next night and remove the clapper from the bell and stop it from tolling. To make a point, he would do it at 11 o'clock. The following night, as promised, Jacob approached the tower, threw open its rotting wooden door, and ascended its twisting stone staircase, brushing aside cobwebs along the way. At the top, he found a small space and, as expected, an iron bell and clapper. He waited. Other villagers huddled indoors near their windows. They watched and waited, their eyes fixed upon the tower. No one knew what would happen, or if anything would happen at all. Suddenly, from atop the bell tower, Jacob's voice sounded. "Look at you," he shouted down to his neighbors. "Scared of your shadows. There's nothing here but an old bell." Suddenly, the bell tolled. Once, twice, 3 times. The villagers gasped. The bell continued to toll 4, 5, 6 times. The villagers expected to hear Jacob shouting at any moment, but no one said a word. The bell tolled again, 7, 8, 9 times. The onlookers were very concerned indeed. Then, from within the tower, Jacob's voice rose again. "Aha!" he shouted. "I've got you." The bell tolled a 10th time. Several moments passed in silence. The bell remained still. 1 hour later, Jacob had still not returned. Yet, no villagers dared to investigate, not even his wife. Finally, at dawn, several villagers approached the tower. They peered inside and shouted, to no reply. Jacob's wife pushed past the villagers and climbed the staircase, frantically shouting his name. There was a moment of silence as she reached the top of the stairs. Then, suddenly, she screamed. In the small space atop the tower, she found the iron bell and its clapper. Gripping it tightly was her husband's left hand, roughly severed at the wrist, and nothing else.
There is a Reaper by Charles V. DeVette. Doctors had given him just 1 month to live, a month to wonder what comes afterward. There was one way to find out.
Ask the dead man.
The amber brown of the liquor disguised the poison it held, and I watched with a smile on my lips as he drank it. There was no pity in my heart for him. He was a jackal in the jungle of life, and I was one of the carnivores. It is the lot of the jackals of life to be devoured by the carnivore. Suddenly, the contented look on his face froze into a startled stillness. I knew he was feeling the first savage twinge of the agony that was to come. He turned his head and looked at me, and I saw suddenly that he knew what I had done. "You murderer!" he cursed me, and then his body arched in the middle and his voice choked off deep in his throat. For a short minute, he sat Tense, his body stiffened by the agony that rode it, unable to move a muscle, I watched the torment in his eyes build up to a crescendo of pain, until the suffering became so great that it filmed his eyes, and I knew that, though he still stared directly at me, he no longer saw me. Then, as suddenly as the spasm had come, the starch went out of his body, and his back slid slowly down the chair edge. He landed heavily, with his head resting limply against the seat of the chair, his right leg doubled up in a kind of jerk before he was still. I knew the time had come. "Where are you?" I asked. This moment had cost me $60,000. 3 weeks ago, the best doctors in the state had given me a month to live, and with $7 million in the bank, I couldn't buy a minute more. I accepted the doctor's decision philosophically, like the gambler that I am, but I had a plan, one which necessity had never forced me to use until now. Several years before, I had read an article about the medicine men of a certain tribe of Aborigines living in the jungles at the source of the Amazon River. They had discovered a process in which the juice of a certain bush, known only to them, could be used to poison a man. Anyone subjected to this poison died, but for a few minutes after the life left his body, the medicine men could still converse with him. The subject, though ostensibly and actually dead, answered the medicine men's every question. This was their primitive, though reportedly effective method of catching glimpses of what lay in the world of death. I had conceived my idea at the time I read the article, but I had never had the need to use it until the doctors gave me a month to live. Then I spent my $60,000, and 3 weeks later I held in my hands a small bottle of the witch doctor's fluid. The next step was to secure my victim, my collaborator, I preferred to call him.
Will do. My pleasure. On it. Presently.
The man I chose was a nobody, a homeless, friendless non-entity, picked off the street. He had once been an educated man, but now he was only a bum, and when he died, he'd never be missed. A perfect man for my experiment. I'm a rich man because I have a system. The system is simple. I never make a move until I know exactly where that move will lead me. My field of operations is the stock market. I spent money unstintingly to secure the information I need before I can take each step. I hire the best investigators, bribe employees and persons in position to give me the information I want, and only when I am certain as humanly possible that I cannot be wrong do I move, and the system never fails. $7 million in the bank is proof of that. Now, knowing that I could not live, I intended to make the system work for me one last time before I died. I'm a firm believer in the adage that any situation can be whipped, given prior knowledge of its coming, and of course, its attendant circumstances. For a moment he did not answer, and I began to fear that my experiment had failed. "Where are you?" I repeated, louder and sharper this time. The small muscles around his eyes puckered with an unnormal tension, while the rest of his face held its death frost. Slowly, slowly, unnaturally, as though energized by some hyper-rational power, his lips and tongue moved. The words he spoke were clear.
I am in a tunnel,
He said.
It is lighted, dim, and there is nothing for me to see.
Blue veins showed through the flesh of his cheeks like watermarks on translucent paper. He paused and I urged, "Go on,"
I'm alone.
he said.
What now?
I'll let you know if I hear of any settlements that need our help. In the meantime, make sure to offer help to anyone that needs it. That can only help our cause. I've gotten word that one of our settlements has driven off an attack by the Gunners. I've fought the Gunners before, and something tells me this was just them probing their defenses. They're gonna need your help.